who makes the decisions in these situations? Because these things are so customer centric, but if you don't have the geniuses that are doing the technical leadership, you can't get there. You also need the Scott Howard. So how do you find a balance in terms of who makes what decision?
Yeah. So, what I've really enjoyed about working with Clear is we got a pretty diverse, robust team for a startup. And so, I think it's about 27 people, and most of them are all versions of engineers, but very diverse in terms of experience, and obviously the intellectual horsepower is really quite high. So we have pretty good team conversations, but the tension there that I think is really important is my job is to talk to the market.
Right.
Who are prospective customers, partners, who are not, figuring out, nope, that's actually the wrong type of customer, but bringing that feedback back to the group and trying to represent the customer and what the problem is that they either have of not understanding what we're trying to sell. And is that because, are we collectively communicating that in not effective way, or am I, or is marketing, or is technology, and what's the combination they're trying to unpack that? Is a big piece of, especially what I'm going through right now. I'm trying to find that, but bringing that voice of the customer back is always, the CEO, the product managers, the salespeople's job is to bring that back to delivery, product, or however you want to look at it, is a hugely important role. And making that tight always, the tighter you can make that communication cycle, the better. And in my experience, it's like, I frame myself as a nerd of, I've seen a lot of technology. I've hung out with a lot of engineers. Engineers generally say, like, yeah, Scott, you get it.
Yeah.
I can't, to be clear, I can't do any of it. I can't write a lot of code, but if you threw up a screen of Python versus a screen of JavaScript in front of me, I could probably tell you which is which and ask you the right questions if you're an engineer. And so I kind of take the perspective, and one of the things that I think I bring is, dear engineers, if I can't translate it, we're a long way of understanding what the heck the actual business problem here is, the user problem is, and kind of bringing down like the customer voice and trying to go like, okay, how do I convert that into the engineering of, we're going to need this type of API to do this type of thing. And so it's kind of doing the translator role is, especially at a startup, that's typically the CEO's job. That's why most tech, the venture capital Silicon Valley profile of the best CEOs are product focused, customer and product. Yeah, I'll be able to raise money, HR, all that. I'm maniacal about being in front of the customer and understanding the product. Like, Marc Benioff can do one of the best demos of Salesforce you will ever see.
Yeah.
Like, he knows the product inside and out.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful thing that you just said there, Scott. And how that's often the role of the CEO, and it's juggling both of those balls. I always feel that, it's really cool, and it's a lot less risky, and it's a lot more probable to be successful if you have generally the same team that's responsible for selling something is the same team that's responsible for building something, at least in part, right? So the closer those communication cycles are, the better. You don't want to play a telephone game where the customer says something and it gets lost in translation, working its way back. I can't tell you how many times I've gone out, I've taken copious notes of every single thing the customer says. And I just know that even though I shared that document, even though I went over highlights that conversation with the product manager, with the engineers, I just know something's getting lost in translation there. So I think figuring out the best way to get that understanding, I think it's really cool when you actually get the engineers to go out and do these site visits every once in a while with you, like take a developer with you. I remember one day I took my friend and my colleague Igor, And I said, Igor, we're going to go on a site today. And it was like his favorite meeting of the year, as someone who was always working remote in the office with his laptop, building code in Objective-C for our iOS applications. And it's like for him to actually see the customer, number one, he learned things, but number two, it was motivating. So I think when you connect these two departments, the product department and the customer department, I feel like it connects a lot of the dots, because the thing I hate the most about a salesperson is when, at least myself, when I don't understand why I'm selling something, when I feel like I'm detached from the product, when the customer is saying like, like, why can't this just work in offline mode? And I'm like, I know, you need it to work in offline mode. You're working in Timbuk 4, you know? And all of a sudden, like, it's 6 months later and we still don't have something working in offline mode. And it's like, who is not understanding that? So I feel the closer these departments can be, the better.